It's just one of those sort of grave areas where, you know, it's just, again, it's like drugs or alcohol or what other addiction in order to sort of take you out. Sexual addiction is real. But of course, it has its sort of stigma just because of, you know, what sex always has a stigma. So it's kind of one of those things which we were just sort of discovering more and more as we went along.
I mean, my knowledge on it was, you know, very sort of pedestrian, really. I mean, I didn't really know anything about it until sort of, as Steve said, you sit down, you talk to people, and then it becomes very serious very quickly. And you know, it is that thing, you know, where it's the impulse, trying to control the impulse to do something, and the shame that goes along with that after the fact. You know, when you know that your body is controlling you and you have these absolute physical urges that you have no control over in such a way that, you know, you're relieving yourself in your workspace, and, you know, more than once a day. And it's like, you know, and the life that you have to sort of, the image and the personality that you have to create for your co-workers and the people that know you socially. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde almost, you know. It's what you're prepared to show to the outside world and what you're hiding inside because of all this sort of self-loathing that goes with it, and the shame, you know, that these people talk about.
I don't know how we work together. It's almost, I mean, I don't, sometimes he finishes my sentences, sometimes I finishes his. But also the fact that it's one of those things where, you know, we don't really say much. There's no big sort of, you know, grand sort of speech or that kind of nonsense. It's more of a grunt and a groan, and, you know, gets on with it, and it's a tip, a nickel or a tuck, and that's it. I don't know. I mean, I'm just happy it exists, and you know, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just happy it exists.
I think, you know, it's like the actions of the characters are strong. The conflicts of the characters are strong. You know, the conflict in terms of their relationships with each other and actually just themselves. You know, obviously with Brandon, there's a massive conflict within him, so that gives good drama. It gives a good dynamic to play with. And I never actually really set out thinking about emotion. I think about where I'm trying to get to, how I'm trying to navigate that, and what sort of certain activities I go about to try and get that. So that's sort of just a sort of, you know, a style of working. In terms of, like, with Steve and Sean as well, I've got to say, you know, behind the camera, there's a rhythm there. It's like, it is like we're in a studio, and it's one of those things that you're just sort of tapped in to the same, you know, amplifier or whatever, or mixing board. Everyone's tapped in. At a certain point, we're on the same wavelength. We're moving very fast, and we're trying to surprise each other and discover things together, and that's a really exciting place to be. And you know, with Sean as well, like, you know, I remember saying to him, listen, Sean, you know, I might move in this direction here, and he just puts that big sort of grin on his face and throws the camera up on his shoulder, and he goes, surprise me. And, you know, it's that kind of thing where it's like dancing then with him and feeling that energy, and like Steve said, you know, it's like, maybe you could, and it's like, I think I understand, it's like the focus is very intense, and that's down to Steve. He creates a very focused environment, and we have fun too within that. That's the thing, you know.
I think you're right. I think you're right in saying it's like jamming. It is like, you sort of, you know, you've got musicians and you're sort of, okay, you're making an album, whatever, and you're just okay, and actually just recording and see what happens and what occurs. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.